Welcome to my new Flash tutorial. How to make it look like a ball is bouncing around a square or a rectangle. In this case, look, it's a ball and it's bouncing around in a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is introduce you to some of the basics of Flash. So first of all, open up Flash. In my case, I've got it on the dock and it happens to be CS4, which I know is a bit outdated these days. Pick a new Flash file, and here is your stage. Any animation you want to show up has to occur in this space. These over here are your tools, things that you can draw with and all sorts of wonderful stuff. This is my library, and here is where you can sort of open and close windows. So I'll just close the library, open it up back again, and sometimes people are trying to find color, the color palette, and there it is there. I opened it up under window and found color. Down here is our timeline. Now, depending on what version of Flash you're working with, normally it would probably default to 24 frames per second. For my tutorials, I set that at 12 just because the older version of Flash default to 12 frames per second. So that means that at frame 12, you've done 1 second of animation. So that should make your math easy. I'm going to go to the toolbox and select the oval tool. Now when I've done that, I've actually selected two different drawing tools, an outline, which I'm going to make black, and the fill, which, let's see, I'm going to pick something like that. Now when I draw a shape, here I am trying to draw a circle. It's like, oh, when's it a circle? Oh, look, you see the little circle next to my cursor? That means you drew a circle. Now there's a much easier way to draw a perfect circle. It's hold down Shift while you click and drag, and look, you get a perfect circle. Now this version of Flash and newer versions will actually see the circle and the outline, the fill and the outline, as one object. But I know that Flash CS3 sees them as individual objects. So what I'm going to do actually is here break apart that object, and look, when I go to drag it, the inside moved but the outline didn't, which can be very frustrating when you're trying to do certain things. I'm sure there's a big advantage to being able to do that. But anyway, I'm going to modify that back to group, which basically takes the inside and the outside line and sees them now as one object. So if you're working in CS3 or earlier, you have to do that. Now, I nudged the object up against the wall of the stage, and now I'm going to go to frame 12, which will give me 1 second of movement, and insert a keyframe. Now I drag the object down to that wall there, and right click between those keyframes and select Create Classic Tween. So I'm doing simple classic tweening here. When I drag the cursor, the timeline back and forth here, the playhead, notice that the object has now been given all of its tweens in between to create that movement. Now, how many frames to go this shorter distance? Well, probably a shorter number of frames, right? Right, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm only going to go about 5 frames or so, insert a keyframe, drag the object over there, and create my classic tween. So now the fewer frames but the fewer distance, or the shorter distance, means that it'll travel about the same speed. So I'm trying to keep an even speed throughout this rather simple animation. So I've gauged about that many frames to go that distance there. And notice too that I'm sending the ball in a logical direction, or at least for the most part logical direction, as if it were, let's say, a ball on a pool table or something like that, a billiard table, right, which is what we play over in England here. So there it goes, up and over, and I'm just continuing to add these animations across and around the stage. What I'm going to try to do is plan it so that my last tween, so this is the second last one up here, so I'm sort of planning ahead, then it's just going to have to see, I'm checking where it was on the first frame, so that now this very short distance, I'll insert a keyframe, and I'll basically put it back where it started. Doop, just like that. I create my classic tween and drag the cursor all about, or the playhead, and that completes my animation. Now to actually test it as a little movie, you go to Control, Test Movie, and oh look, it's a ball and it's bouncing around. Oh my gosh, I'm suddenly, look, what? Walt Disney? He's got nothing on me. I mean, look, I know it sticks a bit at the beginning. That's because there's two keyframes with the object in the same spot. That's basically how it's done. So if you're absolutely mad about Flash and you want to try out some other things, take a look at some of my other tutorials and see what else you can learn. Bye-bye.